If you've ever told someone you have herpes and then immediately started explaining yourself with things like, I barely get outbreaks, I'm on antivirals, it's really not that big of a deal. Let me stop you right there, because that's the moment you give your power away. You're not just sharing your experience or your story. What you're actually doing is trying to convince someone to stay. And that only happens when you believe that they may not choose you unless you make a case for it. But here's what most people don't realize. The moment after you say it, when everything goes quiet, that's the most important part of the entire conversation. Not what you say, not how you say it, but the silence that follows. Because that silence will tell you everything you need to know. So today, I want to talk about why getting quiet after you tell someone you have herpes tells you everything. What actually happens when you stop trying to control the outcome, and how silence puts the power back in your hands. Hi, I'm Dupree, and I help people to navigate life with herpes. The moment right after you tell someone is what a lot of people struggle with, and it's something I hear about all the time. The experience of saying it and then sitting in that silence can completely change how you see yourself and how you show up in that moment. Because when it gets quiet, it's easy to start assuming what they're thinking. You feel like you need to explain yourself, and then you try to make sure the outcome goes the way you want it to. And once you do that, you stop letting the moment play out and you start trying to control it. So in this episode, we're going to break that down, look at what's really happening in that silence, and change how you approach it so that you can see the information that's right in front of you. Let's look at what's actually happening in that moment, because the urge to start talking, explaining, and filling the space doesn't come out of nowhere. It comes from fear. Not the fear of the conversation itself, but fear of how someone is going to react and what that reaction is going to feel like and mean for you. Because the second it gets quiet, your mind starts trying to figure it out. Are they okay with this? Did I just ruin this? Or are they going to pull away? And when you don't have an immediate answer, that uncertainty feels uncomfortable and your mind wants relief from it. So it starts trying to fill the space. It tries to take control of the situation by you giving more information, softening it, or making it easier for them to accept. But this is the moment where everything starts to change, because now you're no longer just sharing something personal about yourself. You're trying to influence how they see you. You're also trying to guide their reaction. And without realizing it, you start treating their response like it's something you need to manage. There's actually a reason that urge to manage their reaction feels so strong. Your mind is wired to look for certainty, and silence feels like the total opposite of that. Silence feels like something's wrong, even when nothing has actually happened yet. So instead of sitting in that unknown, you try to fix it, try to fill it, and you try to get ahead of it. But the need to explain yourself in that moment isn't coming from wanting clarity. It's coming from discomfort. And when you come from that place, you're no longer just trying to provide information. You're trying to shape how the moment plays out. You start changing what you say and how you say it so that you can get a certain outcome. And that's the part that most people don't get, because they think they're helping the situation, but in reality, they're trying to manage someone else's emotions instead of letting the moment speak for itself. Now, let's look at what happens instead when you change things up. So instead of trying to explain your situation and defend your condition, you say something like, I'd like to share something with you. 10 years ago, I was diagnosed with herpes. Or, before we become intimate, it's important I let you know that I was diagnosed with herpes. Then You get quiet. And when you do this, it changes the dynamic of the conversation. Why? Because the moment you start talking too much and defend your diagnosis, you're putting yourself in the role of seeking approval. When you start herpes-splaining and saying things like, the person who gave it to me didn't tell me they had it. I haven't had outbreaks in a long time, or I take antivirals to help prevent outbreaks and transmission. You're literally trying to justify why they should accept you, and you're also begging them to stay. And all that does is send a message that you're desperate and that you don't think you're good enough unless you convince them that you are. But when you allow for a moment of silence, something different happens. You give the other person time to react and to respond. And most importantly, you give yourself a moment to breathe and to relax as best as you can. Now, is this silence going to feel awkward? Hell yeah, it is. And it's going to take all your willpower not to jump in and try to save the day. I can't tell you how many times I've told someone, felt a change in their energy, and started rambling away. And every time I did that, I was interrupting the silence instead of letting it do what it's meant to do. You see, your job is to observe, not to perform. And after you've said what you had to, you just sit back and let someone show you how they feel. Trust me, after you drop the H word, you'll know exactly where someone stands. They may not say it to you, but their body language and their overall energy should give you a clear indication of what they're thinking. And you don't want to interrupt that process. You don't need to guide it, and you don't need to make it easier or comfortable for them. Your strength is in your silence, and your power is in your ability not to shrink yourself to your diagnosis. When you say what you want and you stop, you're saying, this is me. I'm not hiding it. I'm not ashamed of it. And I'm not going to beg you to accept it. That's confidence. That's powerful. And that's something most people won't see coming. Now, let's talk about what happens next, because this is the part that I've struggled with, and many other people have too. And that's about what comes after the silence. I mean, let's face it, not everyone is going to react the way you hope they will. Some people won't know what to say, some will pull back, and some won't want anything to do with it. But you'll also find people that will listen, have compassion, and even ask questions. And if they do, then tell your story, but not before. Because you don't owe anyone an explanation, and you shouldn't say anything else unless they want to know more. I remember the moment I told my boyfriend, who at the time was just my friend. And after I told him, he said, I'll be right back. I've got to go to the bathroom. And I'm not going to lie, I went straight into panic mode. My heart started racing and my mind went down the rabbit hole of thoughts. Like, maybe I shouldn't have said anything. I hope I didn't mess this up. He's going to ditch me. I just know it. But in that moment, I took a deep breath and I reminded myself that no matter what happened next, I was going to be okay. That I can't control how he reacts, but I can control how I respond. And when he returned from the bathroom, which felt like an eternity, he was kind, compassionate, and he asked me questions. That's when I shared my story because I felt comfortable doing so. Now, not everyone I've told reacted this way. I've been treated poorly by many people, and I've been ghosted more times than I can count. But here's the thing. When you get a reaction that you don't like, it doesn't mean you did anything wrong. It doesn't mean that you're unlovable, and it doesn't mean that your dating life is over. All a reaction does is show you who that person is and where they are emotionally. That's it. Some people react out of fear, some people react out of discomfort, and some people react the way they do because of the stories they've been told about herpes. And none of that says anything about your worth. And here's something else I want you to know. If someone pulls away, ghosts you, or shuts down after you tell them, that's valuable information. It shows you whether they can adult up and if they have the ability to handle real conversations. And honestly, it's better to find that out early on instead of wasting your time and energy on someone who can't show up for you. Now look, I have to say this because it's super important. If someone decides that they don't want to be in a relationship with you, that doesn't make them a bad person. It just means that they aren't up for it, that they aren't your partner, and they're opening the door for someone else to come into your life who is meant for you. Because the right person won't run. They won't judge you based on your diagnosis. They'll stay present, ask questions, and they'll choose to move forward with you. That's the person that you want in your life, not someone you have to explain yourself to in hopes that they'll stay, but someone who chooses you because they see everything that you bring to the table, not just your condition. So, before we wrap up, here are a few things I want you to remember. 1, say it, get quiet, and breathe. The silence is where you stay in control of yourself instead of managing their reaction and trying to control the outcome. They'll show you how they feel without you having to say another word. 2, their reaction is about them, not your worth. If someone pulls away, it's okay because they're opening the door for the right person to come into your life. 3, the right person won't need convincing. They'll choose you because they see you as a whole person, not just your diagnosis. Well, that's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you haven't subscribed yet, whether you're watching on YouTube or you're listening on audio, be sure to do that so you don't miss future episodes. Also, if you're tired of navigating your condition alone, come join us at Herpes Wellness. Membership gives you access to a private online community with forums, chat rooms, and monthly live streams where you can ask questions, make friends, find love, and get support from people who truly get what you're going through. If you want support on the go, then you can download the Herpes Wellness app, available in both the App Store and in Google Play. The links to our website and the app are in the description. And if you're concerned about privacy, we've got you totally covered. The app icon and push notifications say H Wellness, so if someone happens to see your screen, you won't disclose your status unintentionally. And if you're enjoying the podcast or if you have something you'd like to share, let me know in the comments. I would love to hear from you. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you the next time on the Herpes Wellness Podcast. Bye for now.